Hey, it's Alex here. I've spent the last couple of weeks trying out a few different Resonator guitars because I keep hearing that they are the secret sauce for that raw, bluesy twang that sits somewhere between a dobro and a regular acoustic. The problem is, the market is flooded with models that look great on a shelf, but end up feeling like a compromise once you plug them into a real jam session. That's why I'm going to walk through the practical side of the Gretsch G9221 Bobtail round neck resonator, point out where it actually shines, where it might trip you up, and help you decide if it's the right fit for your own playing style. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about why a resonator at all might be a hesitant purchase. Most players I've spoken with say they love the metallic bite of a resonator, but worry that the sound is too niche, that the instrument will be louder than they need for a small rehearsal space, or that the steel body will be a nightmare to balance on stage. Those are legitimate concerns because a resonator isn't just a regular acoustic. The metal cone and the way the body is constructed change both the tonal response and the ergonomics. The Bobtail tries to address those worries by pairing a fully steel body with a more traditional mahogany neck, which gives you a sturdy, resonant platform, while keeping the neck feel familiar for anyone who's spent time on a regular acoustic. What I really liked about the steel body is the sustain. When I struck a chord and let it ring, the note held longer than on a typical woodtop resonator I've used before. That extra sustain is a boon for slide players who want each note to sing before moving on, and it also means you can get away with a lighter pick attack if you're playing in a bedroom or a coffee shop. The weathered pump house roof finish isn't just an aesthetic nod. The slightly distressed surface actually dampens a bit of the harshness that sometimes comes from a completely raw steel surface. In practice, I noticed the tone stayed warm even after a couple of hours of playing, which is a subtle but welcome advantage over a glossy steel that can get overly bright after the initial warm-up. The hand-spun spider cone Fishman electronics are the real workhorse for anyone who plans to go direct into an amp or a PA. The spider cone is a low-profile pickup that sits under the bridge, so you're not adding any bulky hardware that interferes with the instrument's natural resonance. In a live setting, the signal stayed clean and didn't pick up the usual feedback that can plague resonators when you crank up the volume. I ran it through a standard 15-watt combo and the sound was articulate, with the characteristic metallic edge you expect, yet the low end was still present enough to fill a small room. That's a practical strength, because it means you can use the Bobtail both for intimate acoustic gigs and for louder band rehearsals without constantly swapping guitars. Now, the Padauk Fingerboard. Padauk is a hardwood that's known for its bright, slightly oily grain, and it tends to feel smoother under the fingers compared to maple or rosewood. In my experience, the smoothness translated into less finger fatigue when doing those long, bending slide lines that are a staple of resonator blues. The color contrast against the steel body also makes it easy to spot where you're placing your fingers, which is a tiny ergonomic win when you're playing in low-light venues. However, Padauk can be a bit softer than other tone woods, so if you're a heavy-handed player who leans on aggressive picking, you might notice a few more dents over time compared to a harder board. Who should consider the Bobtail? If you're a slide guitarist who wants that authentic resonator growl without having to carry a heavy, fully metallic instrument, this is a solid middle ground. The steel body gives you the signature projection and sustain, while the mahogany neck and Padauk fingerboard keep the feel close to a standard acoustic. It's also a good entry point for players who are new to resonators, but already own a regular acoustic. You won't have to relearn neck shape or scale length, which can be a hurdle when switching between instruments. The built-in Fishman electronics add value because you get a reliable direct out without needing to mount a separate pickup, saving you both money and installation hassle. On the flip side, this isn't the best choice for folk fingerstyle players who rely heavily on the soft, woody texture of a pure acoustic. The steel body, even with its weathered finish, will always impart a brighter, more metallic character that can mask the subtle dynamics you might be after in a delicate finger-picking piece. Also, if you're looking for a truly vintage resonator aesthetic, think open back, gut tone, and a heavy brass body, the Bobtail's modern steel construction may feel too contemporary for that specific vibe. Finally, the price point sits a bit higher.